This is our NGL introduction on September 14th, 2024. And the complete name is escaping me in this moment.
That's okay. It's too long for anybody to remember it.
Celebrating.
It's something about celebrations.
Mm-hmm.
There was many, many years ago, there was a theater, a play that was called something, The Complete Story of the Marquise de Sade and blah, 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 blah. And it went on for like 5 lines. And there was a joke where person A says to person B, "Did you see that play?" And person B says, "No, but I read the title." I have a sense it's the same as a very long title.
And I wrote it down, celebrating in the midst of challenging circumstances, ongoing anchoring of trust in life.
Thank you. And that was significant enough for you to be able to choose to at least try to be here. Yeah, there are a bunch of West Coasters here that are stretching their muscles. Thank you for being here. So I would like to start by hearing, I want to say first that there it's a relatively small group, and that means 2 things. One is we are going to have more capacity to interact, and B, there's more responsibility on each of you to keep us going. You can hide less than people often hide. Not quite as small as when there are 4 people there and that's it. They all need to be part of it or nothing happens. But just an invitation to unhide, which includes in particular turning on your camera, because part of what I try to do whenever I teach anything is to hold people together and create a field, not like I am doing something and you're receiving it. We are doing something of which I am a particular part, but not the only part. And there was something else that you being a small group was going to say, but I don't remember. This is the first of a series of 6 that I'm trying out. I'm really just trying out different ways of doing it because I am less and less interested in effort in what I do. And the original thing that I was doing was so effortful that it was coming close to being a have to. And the effort was not doing the things, the being here. The effort was writing the descriptions and writing the slides. So I'm basically doing neither. Very short description and no slides. So we'll see what is happening and how we go about it. The topic is very near and dear to my heart, and I would like to start the way I usually start, which is I'd like to hear from people what led you to come here. And I'm particularly interested in people who I've never had any contact with before. I think, I just would like to know what caught your attention to come to a conversation about celebrating in challenging times in particular. I think Rafaela, you're one of those people, but maybe I'm mistaken. Is it true?
Well, hello. Hey, it's morning in my time, and I'm in Austria. And I maybe I know you from Tamara. I've been around a lot in Tamara, and we have an own community in Austria. And I'm going through, since the last couple of years, through a strong grief process and mourning things that are not possible. and also mourning people who died. And I think many of my beliefs, or like strongest, something that is like a power that is driving me, is somehow broken in a way that I have never experienced it. And so there are the questions of, how do I still trust? How do I still believe? How do I celebrate? Because so many things inside feel like breaking. Yeah.
I can, without knowing you hardly at all, even if we met, I don't have a clear memory of that. The first thing that I can imagine celebrating, if I were you, is that there are millions of people who, instead of doing what you're doing, are choosing to harden themselves and numb themselves to what is happening. And I would be celebrating, if I were you, wow, despite all the hardship, I am actually making myself available for the process. I'm not rejecting life. I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm wondering if this speaks to you.
I gave birth to a dead boy in 6th month, and this was one of my major insights, that if I am now closing up to life, then it will not serve me, and even if it's really hard, so it does speak to me to be with life, and also the night, let's say it, to call it the night.
Yes, and you're showing up for it and showing up here and accepting my invitation. You could have chosen to say, oh no, I don't want to speak. I'm not ready to speak. You could have said, oh, the topic is just of interest to me because of what I'm going through. You could have done many things, and you chose to show up fully with what is going on in you, in a group of people that you don't know. So I would be celebrating my strength if I were you, my willingness to risk my significance. How's that?
There's something beautiful about it, like, and soft and acknowledging, which it took me many months and years to see this process that I'm in like, as something that is also beautiful.
Yeah. So what I was just demonstrating in responding to Rafaela is the practice of celebration challenges, which is kind of like the graduate level bit of a celebration, where we find something to celebrate even when things are really hard. And it's not, what's the word? It's not about overriding or bypassing. It's within the challenge, not as if the challenge isn't there or pretending to be somewhere we're not. So I'm wondering, and it's completely up to you, if you would like to try to find 2 more things to celebrate.
Are you talking to me?
Oh, yeah. And it's totally an invitation and an offering, not even a request. It's only if you can imagine that it would serve you.
There's one thing. I have 3 daughters, and they're teenage daughters, and they're kind of on the threshold in their own lives. And something that really feels like celebrating is to, if I look at them, I see how much beauty I bring into the world, and how much beauty I bring into, like, to people. And when I look at them, I can see that there is something very beautiful that came through me to them, and now it's living in them, which is very, very beautiful. That's one thing.
I love it. I really enjoyed hearing it. I think I wasn't sufficiently clear in the invitation, which is celebrating things related to the hardship.
Okay, yes.
That's what the celebration challenge is, because
Mhm.
when we do that enough, it actually, I believe, does something to our brain cells.
Mhm.
It rewires something within us. And I feel when I do it that my energetic experience
Mhm.
changes in ways that I can't even entirely explain.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you. So this wasn't clear to me. So yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad it wasn't clear, because then I got to hear this. All of us got to have a peek into such an amazing way of look at a relationship with daughters. Thank you.
Mhm. So especially to the hardship, maybe there's one thing, and I have never thought about it to celebrate it,
Mm-hmm.
but I was very it was very, I've lived in the Middle East for some years, and I have friends in the Palestinian side and the Israeli side. And it was very heartbreaking for me to see the beginning of the conflict, especially. And I don't know, something got very numb and silent. And also, I was very enraged in the beginning. And maybe I have never thought about it, but maybe it's something to celebrate, that I can be with this silence. And maybe I don't take sides because it's too confusing for me,
Mm-hmm.
but I keep the friendships very dear to my heart on both sides, and I prioritize I don't know if it's compassion or this is very subtle for me, but I prioritize, or I being in contact and making an effort to listen, to 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 be there, to ask, to yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
curious if doing this celebrating is doing something for you. Are you feeling anything inside as a result of doing this?
Yeah, like with this part, for example, with this sharing, it opens up the vulnerability a bit more, which I haven't felt maybe even. And it's as if I'm celebrating something that's very, very mm, when you're very shy about something and
Mm-hmm.
you don't even know, and you're celebrating something that's very in between the lines, where you also have question marks, and maybe there's shame or guilt,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes, yeah, and at the moment I can feel it makes me vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And from just interacting with you now, I would bet that you're one of the people who believe that vulnerability, walking towards vulnerability, is walking towards more aliveness.
Maybe I don't frame it like this, but I do believe that vulnerability is something that's also sacred. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. Really, really appreciate this interaction, the depth, the pacing, the mystery, the unexpectedness. So I'm very grateful that this happened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Since we are already in the thick of it, I would like to wonder if anyone has any follow-up. Either something you learned from this interaction or some question you have about the power of celebration through this interaction. And maybe nothing. or anything
My
that got.
hand was up for something different, Mickey, but I'm somewhat speechless because I hadn't heard this as celebration challenges, but my life kind of fell through when my first niece to have a child, the baby died after 3 days, last March the 2nd. And I just was kind of hanging on every word of Rafaela. And I just so wish my niece could be here beside me hearing this, because she is still very stuck in March the 2nd. But as you see, I sat up, I turned my video on, and I'm fully here now, thanks to you, Rafaela. So, but my hand was originally up in terms of, I was curious. I was here. I stayed up till 2 to hear what you thought were challenging circumstances. But yeah, the challenge of celebrating touches me more.
There is a very, very, very deep layer to this that hasn't been articulated for me, that I want to say for me overall. For many of us, there is an unconscious contract that we have with life, that things should work out. And if things work out, then we will celebrate, then we will be nice, then we will do all of this. And if not, then we are going to be upset with life and not trust life. I'm not talking about you, Rafaela, because I really don't know you. But that is something that is there and is baked into the particularly modern obsession with prolonging life, with doing everything to create conditions that, what's the word that I'm looking for? That artificially make life more stable than it actually is by itself. Like, I can speak for myself. I really suffer from heat. Like physiologically, really, really suffer. So what do? If there is an air conditioner, I turn it on. If not, I go buy a fan, because I really am likely to be one of those people who could die from heat. I'm the last person to put on a sweater around me, also in the other direction. But what am I doing? I am actually controlling life by doing this. And the practice of celebrations, and especially celebration challenges, uncouple trusting life from things working out. Because if our trust in life depends on things working out, it isn't really trust. It's just, it's a form of an attachment. I'm wondering if this is making sense to anyone. Yeah, at least to Svetlana. And if it makes sense to Svetlana, that's good enough. Yeah. So that's the piece that I also wanted to add. That is part of what makes it a deep spiritual practice and not just a feel-good experience, is it releases us from attachment to things being a particular way. All right. Let's hear from anyone else that I happen to not know yet in particular. And also okay, Trish. Hello, Trish. And Svetlana, and then Trish.
Good morning, guys. It's a little bit earlier for me, but I'm so happy that I'm showing up. And I want to appreciate and celebrate the openness and vulnerability of Rafaela. And I relate so much to in a different situations, but with the grief. I lost my mom last year, and this opened the chapter of new life in my experience. Unlock all the grief for the different matters, not only her physical existence that I lost, but all the losses. And yeah, and now I'm here. I'm learning how to develop on first place language of emotions, feelings, needs that I never had, to surround myself with people who are with similar interests, and to feel the support that I can do this despite the majority of understanding and conditioning that I'm surrounded. And it's very challenging. My way is getting very narrow. And often my thinking is this worth it? Is this worth it? And then I will find these small things to celebrate in this pain and struggles, what I have, and something will show up. And to have this blind faith, what I believe I understand what just Mickey said, that not to control the things, and if something happen, oh, I have hope now. No, it's just the blind faith that the things will work out despite what is going on at the moment. And I'm practicing celebration with NVC people in a WhatsApp group, and I'm trying every day to celebrate something, and not this celebration, oh, I got what I want, I have this, now I can celebrate. At the moment, the word celebration is purely replacement for me of gratitude, but not this automatic bypassing gratitude. I'm grateful that I have hot water. I'm grateful that I have cold water. I'm trying to match the energy within me and then to express it. So I like talking, and I'm very shy before I find the courage to talk. So it's enough about me.com. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And maybe you said it and I missed it in all this. What led you to choose to be here, to focus on this for 2 hours?
Yeah, first of all, because it's I'm settled in UK, and as I say, this is helping me just being surrounded with other people who are searching for the same things.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to also say that I want to take it further, even from the idea that trust is still about, even if it's not going well now, things will work out. Because by definition, things won't. Sooner or later, you will die. So what does it mean for things to work out? For whom, at what scale? And I want my trust in life to be further and further and further away from, is my own life working? I want it to be much more, for me, coming from a sense of awe and mystery at the workings of life. I'm wondering if that makes sense, that difference, Svetlana.
What I'm hearing that you're saying, and my understanding is that it's not important if just give me a moment.
Thank you. And I invite everyone to think about it at the same time. This is an exploration. It's not like A, B, C, D, Mickey's telling you what it is. It's not going to happen.
The word that is coming to me is togetherness. The importance is for togetherness than for the individual purpose of this faith and change and grow and trust.
Thank you. I'll take it even further. the entire human species will become extinct. I'm saying that as a guaranteed thing. I'm not getting into the climate controversy about are we facing extinction now or not. I'm talking about the fact that there's only so much energy within the sun, and that will run out. And if we don't get extinguished before then, we will get extinguished then. So it's at what scale are we talking about things working out? That is the question. It's not like, okay, it doesn't work out for me, but it works for the whole group of people. I really want to recode what it means for things to work out, to be that sense of the mystery and surrender of here is life. Life is big and huge. I don't understand it. Wow. And just watching and allowing it to move me and influence me. I don't know why we have two people on the call associated with a baby dying at or immediately soon after birth. That's very strange that happened on the call, that two people have that theme. Does it mean anything? I don't know. And it's fascinating. So it's a way of living for me that where the trust is just trusting that life is working, life is doing its thing, and there is, at least I'm talking about my faith, that there is some way that it all makes sense on the largest order, even if it doesn't make sense to me in this moment. And I also believe that as humans, we have really interfered with the process of life. And my dedication, my energetics is about realigning us with life, but that's at a different layer. And I believe that celebrating can realign us with life by releasing and releasing and releasing that attachment to things have to be a certain way. Thank you. And Trish, I think it's your turn.
Thank you. I'm coming from Australia, and this is the first time I've been on any of these NGL forums. And so I have really no idea of what to expect when I came.
Isn't that fabulous?
Well, it is fabulous, Mickey, because that is, I think, what I need to celebrate. That opening by Raphael, it touched me so deeply, and not only because of her story, your story, Raphael, but because it meant that, wow, this is a place where that vulnerability and that exploring the kinds of things you've just spoken about, Mickey, about it is a place that's going to discuss that or talk about that or be open to that. And that was, I came a little nervous. I have been on a few other nonviolent communication practice groups and found it a bit challenging, I guess is the word. And this was, just so different and wonderful. And I guess that is my celebration. So thank you. And I guess the thing about the attachment, my practice, my spiritual practice is Buddhism, and deeply embedded in that. And so that whole thing about just in the flow of whatever life presents is just resonates very deeply with me. So
thank you. Yeah. All right. Is there anyone else who is wanting to share what brought you here? What brought you here? Yes, Hannah.
Hi. Yeah, so I'm really interested in using celebrations as a way to boost capacity, because I find myself chronically out of capacity or overstretched
Mhm.
in my life at the moment, and my kids also finding themselves overstretched.
Mhm.
And yeah, we've done a little bit of practice at celebrating in moments where everyone has been, really really challenged. Last week, for example, my baby, this one, cut her finger open and there was blood everywhere. Everyone was very disturbed. We didn't have the first aid kit with us. We were outside in the nature reserve, and we sort of ran to find help from somebody in the community in the pharmacy. And we just trusted that somebody would hold us in that moment, and everything was sorted out. Everything is fine. And when we got home, we were really celebrating, even though it was really demanding of us and took a lot of energy. We were really, can you keep still? We were really, it kind of drew us together, and that felt very magical to me somehow. And I'd love to see if I can use the difficult circumstances of our lives right now to somehow build more trust in life. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So, what I want to do is to start from just reading the. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to do a half step back. In this series of 6, my intention is to both introduce some practices and principles, etc., and also introduce people to how we function within NGL. And so I am planning to engage in both of these simultaneously, not in the same moment necessarily, but back and forth. So I wanted to give first context that I don't know if anybody has visited that the NGL website, the values section. We have 6 values. I'm sure that Kirsten has, but I'm talking, for example, people who aren't already part of NGL. So we have 6 values. One is here. Ronnie, Emma, and I did a project of gleaning, articulating, consolidating the values that NGL is living by that come from its vision, and the principles that articulate those values. And so in this case, I want to read to you the value and the principle. So you see also how when we move from the value to the principle, we take one step closer to anchoring something that is generally kind of like more abstract and aspirational into something that is closer to what we are able to do. And that's part of how the vision mobilization framework works and how we try to do things. So the value is trust in life as moving toward flow, togetherness, and choice with all we have and know to do, and entrusting the outcome to the mystery of how life unfolds. That is the value. You can describe trust in life in a variety of ways, but we are describing it in this way because this is how we, from where we are within NGL, pull ourselves in the direction of vision through this trust in life. But it's still very unclear. What do? How do you actually get there? So one of the ways that we move in that direction is that, and this is the principle, we anchor on our work in ongoing celebrations related to purpose, values, and relationships, even and especially when we are in the midst of challenging circumstances or conflict, to deepen our capacity to relate to mystery. And this is something that has already showed itself in what has happened here, in how we have interacted so far, that the celebration does something to make it possible for us to release attachment and surrender to mystery. And then the next layer that we move to is from principles to specific actions that anchor the principle even further. So within NGL, we have two of those. And I am going to put them in the chat. So that you can have an opportunity to see them and maybe then understand a bit of what we do, because here they are. So, yeah. So, the first thing, this is also a way to show you how we are making, we anchor what we do at different levels. When we anchor something as an agreement, it's a way of saying, this is something that we do unless there is a really, really, really good reason not to do it. And when there's a really, really, really good reason not to do it, we try to understand why. And we communicate about it so that that reason can be integrated into a future iteration of articulating how we do it, so that at this level of anchoring, there is going to be something that is likely to be done by everyone most of the time. And that then becomes something that shifts how we are. It's very different from something that is a recommendation, which is like, yeah, we do it if we want to, but there isn't a sense of a serious orientation to it. It happens or it doesn't happen. And that's very different in terms of how, what's the word? How consistently the thing gets anchored. So the celebrations are now really, really, really anchored. I'm curious if anyone who isn't part of NGL has ever watched recordings or observed meetings of NGL teams and has seen this ongoing practice of celebrations. Has anyone seen it? This I see that hasn't happened. It's built into how we function. So, Trish, you said, "Oh, this is a place where we discuss these kinds of things and do these kinds of things." And yes, when that is the purpose. Right now, our purpose is to learn about this, practice together possibly, and all of that. But if our purpose is to get a project moving, we're not going to have discussions about celebrations and the meaning of life and what does trust of life mean or doesn't mean. We're going to do our work. And within that, we're still taking a tiny bit of time for celebration, so that then shapes the culture of how we function. Things that we do consistently over time shape our culture. So we are very, very particular about purpose, and we do things in relation to what the purpose is. So right now, we don't have any purpose of making something happen. We're just here to explore and learn together. So the pace will be very different from if we were here to design how to do an event about celebrations, or if we were here to talk about what do we want to put on the registration form for an event about celebrations. I'm wondering, Trish, if that distinction is resonating for you, just so that you get a sense that we don't always do things the same way. Yeah.
Yes, no, that makes absolute sense to me, Mickey. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so that was the next thing I wanted to do is read the value and the principle. And I'm curious if anybody has any questions or comments about that piece. The value, the principle, and how we anchor it all. I'm very interested in dialogue, not in just talking to you.
For me, you would have to read it again because I can't, like, I was with it with the words, but I can't like totally recall it. So
would anybody else like me to read the value and the principle again? Or I can do that, and I can also put that in the chat too. Let me just find it.
Mickey, I put the link for the values page, the values page in the chat there for you.
Thank you.
And
whatever happened? Okay. Here it is in the chat. Oh, somebody put it in there. But anyway, I put it in there now, both of them. And I can read it out loud again. Trust in life as moving toward flow, togetherness, and choice, with all we have and know to do, and entrusting the outcome to the mystery of how life unfolds. And the principle, we anchor our work in ongoing celebrations related to purpose, values, and relationships, even and especially when we are in the midst of challenging circumstances or conflict, to deepen our capacity to relate to mystery. So now that you have it, I am wondering if there are any comments or questions related either to the content of the value and the principle or to what I shared about it and how we function, agreements, recommendations, all of that. Yes, Alaska.
Is this similar to, and I feel like I'm reducing it by saying this, but I'm not, affirmations?
It's very different for me because as I understand affirmation, it's stating something that I want to see happen but isn't already happening. As if it's already happening. Like maybe, I may be misunderstanding, but that's what I know about them. Like maybe I think I'm ugly. And I put a note by the mirror that says, I am a beautiful person and my skin is glowing. I'm just making it up. Then I am reading something that I don't actually believe to be true, as a way to try to make it be true. So that is my understanding of affirmations. Is that your understanding also?
Yes. I mean, I guess I think that it is something that is also already possibly true, but that my thinking is just not aligned with it yet. But
Yeah, it still is the case that I want to personally, I want to only say things that I can either believe are true, or I can really and truly imagine, not skip over something that isn't true within me. That's the difference that I see.
okay, but I guess my point in saying that was more the conditioning that by continuously and doing it on a schedule basically will reinforce um it that the false beliefs that I currently have that are largely unconscious, they developed the agreements developed over time, and in the same way over time I can develop other agreements and is
Yeah, I want to say first of all that I never want to take from someone something that works for them. If it works for you to do affirmations, then please keep doing them, regardless of what I say. I mean that very, very deeply.
yeah, no, I haven't used affirm I haven't used
Okay,
affirm.
okay. For me, there is more power when the thing that I'm saying is something that I can actually feel, rather than just words that are on a thing and I over I overwrite something in me in order to say them. So for example, when we do vision work, we do write the vision in the present tense as if it's happening, but that is only when we're able to imagine it. So it's a very, very deep practice of ours when we do vision work, that we don't put in the vision something that we can't feel as a possibility and really imagine. So, for example, in the area of work of power and privilege that we do a lot of, I have discovered that for the most of the people, it's really difficult. It's outside their capacity to imagine a way of life in which privilege doesn't even exist, where there are no power differences, where basically we're relating to each other just as who we are, and everything goes based on needs. Most people can't imagine that. I can, so I can have it as a vision. But if you can't imagine what is on the other side of power differences and privilege, then your vision needs to be closer to where it is. So maybe your vision is that there are pockets of possibility where people work together with deep commitment to transforming relations of power. And that you can imagine, then that's your vision. Even though it's like, oh, it would be nice if we could live in a world without privilege. But if you can't imagine it, it can't be your vision because it won't pull you enough. That's how I see it. That's where the difference is for me.
I guess what I'm thinking about is that of developing trust at the same time as developing the what as being able to be open to the infinite possibilities.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's like on some level, I have an attitude of what works, works. I'm trying to make sense of what works, why it works. And I have a different opinion from many people about affirmations. And that doesn't mean I wouldn't want people to do affirmations if it works for them.
And I'm going to say I don't need to understand how it works. I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that because I am a teacher, it's very important for me not to say to people, do this. If I cannot understand for myself and put it in words and say to people why I'm inviting them to do something. So for me, linking something to the why it works for me as what I'm doing in the world is very important. Yeah, thank you. Cindy.
I was really trying to stay present with what our last speaker was sharing, so I want to kind of go back a moment. I wanted to speak to basically like when I went down a deep chasm of despair, halfway down again. But the piece that I think it's my vision, belief that the world really does operate on love. And so how do I find evidence of that when there's wars and violence? And in that particular time, I just like began to think of all of the magic and beauty in the world. It's like only love could make the sunrise or create so many different kinds of flowers. Only love can do that. So then, if the appearance in my world and what's happening in my world doesn't feel like love, then I remind myself that we're traveling like, what is it? We're spinning 24,000 miles in space, but it feels like I'm sitting still. And we're traveling 60,000 miles around the sun, and it feels like I'm sitting still. So I'm not sure if that is tying into how you have to have proof, but for me, that's the proof that appearances don't always validate the reality of love. And the other piece is because I'm always trying to move towards love in my path, there appears to be always something that unfolds that is in my reality that feels like a miracle, whether it's small, a synchronistic thing, but it validates that I'm not just having to depend on the fact that we're traveling 60,000 miles, and I don't feel that, but I believe that because I believe the science that said that. So I don't know if I just let you into nowhere. I just
There isn't anything that arises in me to say it. I just took in what you said, but I don't have an immediate response. So is it okay to leave it here, or is there something in particular that you would like to hear?
I think there's always a wish for some kind of response, but it's not going to leave me not believing in love.
Is there a specific question or request that will help me focus if you have something specific that you would like me to speak to?
Well, I guess I would like to know, in your path, do you not eventually, in the short run or the long run, find synchronistic events that validate that you are moving in the flow of life, despite the horrors in the possible extinction? Do you not still find the
Okay, I can speak to
synchronistic
this.
miracles of life?
I can speak to this. One of my deepest commitments is to total humility. And what I mean by this is I really don't know how life functions. I have theories, I have ideas, I have practices, I have things that make sense to me, but I will never say that I know. I can say that over the last about, I don't know, many years, I don't remember when it started, but I can say that over the last many years, it has been my experience that the less I try to control the outcome, the more flow there is. And that there is something that happens in surrender that nourishes. The most astonishing experience of it is in running the financial gift hub experiments within NGL. Not that I run them, but in running them, I have noticed over the course of 4 years, I think, that we've been doing it in the way that we're doing it now, and we do it 3 times a year. Every time there has been so far some unexpected, significant gift of money that shows up from somewhere that we didn't know was coming. And that is very nourishing to see. It's like, okay, something is happening so that we can keep sustaining all of that. But it's a big discipline not to then expect it to happen next time. Just to celebrate it and celebrate it and celebrate it when it comes. Let that experience, nourish my cells and bring aliveness to me and release again. So I don't think of it as evidence. I think of it as food. Does that speak to what you wanted me to speak to?
Yes. Yes.
I still am not sure if you feel complete.
Yeah, there was just a piece there. There is a piece there that, for me, actually feeds into appearances of synchronicity, and it's my need to look for when the heartbreak, the dark night is happening. I need to look for that synchronistic moment, and when it comes, it's like, I knew it was there. I knew it was coming. No matter what, I knew it was coming. So I do have that expectation, and it gets met and it does get mad in because I'm living it today, this very day. Something just
Yeah,
amazing and
yeah,
affirmative happened. And at the same time, as you know, I've struggled with my son, and I've had to completely let go. I'm moving away from Vancouver into an intentional community, and he's going to be taken care of by people 2 hours north of me, and I won't be that person anymore. And that's a break for me.
yeah,
That would happen, that he would get healed and be the person I imagined him to be. And yet at that same time, this whole new life is opening up, and something today just like totally affirmed it. And I've been waiting for something, I didn't know what.
yeah. I think that there's a divergence between us, and that's fine to leave it like this. For me, it's instead of saying I knew it would coming, I don't know it's coming. I trust it's possible. That's the difference. When I know something is coming to me, I'm hearing in that some aspect of control.
Mm.
Even if it's subtle. That's what I hear. When I say something is possible, it's very different from saying that something is going to happen. That's the humility and surrender for me that are very important to me. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for helping me to kind of crystallize it. Yeah. So that was, thank you.
And thank you for
Crystallize.
persisting. Thank you for persisting. Yeah. Let me see if there's anything more general that I want to say. Yeah, I just want to say that I keep coming back to the difference between trust in life that is a picture of life working for me somehow, and trust in life as in life is working whether it works for me or not, that there's something mysterious beyond what works for me, which is the way that I believe we are holding it in the way that we framed that value within NGL. And because Honi's here, I just want to check with you, Honi, if that fits with with your memory of the conversations that we had when we put these words together.
Needed to navigate the Zoom controls to get to you. Yeah, I think there's something really nuanced and subtle that I don't even have full clarity on myself yet. Um, that this trust isn't attached to any outcome. It's that we are trusting in a certain future, but we don't necessarily even know what the future is. We are just trusting that there is an intuitive overall sense of everything wanting to come together to care for as many needs as possible. And I don't even know that it's possible for a human mind to fully grasp what all of that is about, and that's okay. So we follow our intuition to the best that we can.
I really like what you said, as many needs as possible, which may not include mine.
Mm-hmm.
In the larger order of things, it may be that it works better for my needs not to be attended to in order for other needs to be.
Yeah, I was recently in a very intense experience of physically playing out what it's like to be killed and eaten
Killed
as
and
part.
eaten?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
as if we were a gazelle or anything else, and to feel the experience of your life feeding others, like the baby lions that now live because they ate your body, and it's a very transformative experience that I cannot explain in words, and it was really, really helpful for me in really taking this in, the sense of being part of a whole.
Yeah, and there is even, I will use the word evidence, and I use it lightly, but there are people who interpret, lions running, chasing gazelles or zebras or whatever, interpret it in a particular way of where they believe that there is some degree of choice within the group of gazelles or zebras or whatever, which will be the one that is caught by the lion.
Yeah, I think for me it was really helpful to touch the liberation edge in me, because I deeply believe that life is precious, and it's easy to then get attached to the idea that individual lives are so precious that I don't want anything to die, so much that I'm not seeing the greater whole. And things are dying all the time. I'm gonna die. We're all gonna die. So
Yeah,
it was space to do this really deep transformation work to see the greater whole and how everything serves.
thank you. Thank you very, very much. That difference. And I would go even a step further. Every individual occurrence of every life is precious. And also, not just that life is precious, every individual life is precious. And that preciousness includes its finite nature. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I just want to say that my intention is to continue for another 10 minutes or so, and then ask you to go into breakout groups and actually practice celebrating. And then the rest of the conversation will come from you practicing. So maybe we'll hear from Rafaela and Michelle, and maybe that will be a natural breakpoint for doing the practice. Yeah, Rafaela.
For me, the biggest point where I had questions about is because you write, or the one core thing of the value is that even though, or in the midst of difficulties and conflict, to celebrate. And I'm just wondering to which extent you like sometimes we can't hold it, even if we have this value. So if it's too difficult, if there's too much pain or too much anger, I just wonder, how do you deal with that, to stay with the commitment to celebrate? There's something I feel I have, maybe I haven't experienced, or maybe I have. Yeah, this would be the question.
Yeah, I remember a particular moment where there was a conflict going on. This is 5 years ago, just a couple of weeks more than 5 years ago, where there was a particular conflict that had immense impacts on me on every level. And I did what I usually do, which is continually try to integrate and come up with new proposals for how the situation could be worked. And even this got folded into the conflict. Instead of me being seen as integrating and proposing new things, that was seen somehow as power over. It was really an awful situation. And then the person left in unexpected circumstances. That's the thing. And I decided to do a celebration challenge about it. And the number I picked for myself of how many I wanted to do was 15. 15 things to celebrate about all that was unfolding in that conflict. And the reason I picked 15 is because I knew that in order to transform my experience, I would need a lot of them to counter how awful it was. But I also wanted to care for my capacity limits. So I actually divided it into 5 days and did 3 a day. And I sent them to the group of people that I sent daily updates to, which I've been doing for many, many, many years. Each day I included 3. And on the second day, I included the first 3 and added the second 3, so that on the last day, I actually had a list of 15. And I could see and feel the power of the energetic imprint of celebration that is so different from the imprint of shock and contraction that I was in from the conflict. And I'll give you another example. It took many years to actually settle in the conclusion that I come from an abusive household. And it took many years for 2 reasons. One is that I am a highly functional human being, and it's easy to associate abuse with, so much trauma that you can't function and whatever. That was one reason. It's like, oh, it couldn't have been abuse. I'm fine. And the other is the comparative thing. It's like, oh, so many other people have had it worse. Some version of these two kept me from just settling. This was an abusive household. And it also didn't look like, if you were going to create a checklist of what counts as abuse, it didn't have those check things. Or I don't know if you know, there's this research about adverse childhood experiences. And there are 10 of them that have been crystallized. And I don't fit many of them. So all these reasons, it was hard, but I finally landed on it. When I think on my 64th birthday, I can't remember, or maybe 62nd, one of them. My most recent one was 68. I decided that I wanted to have a list of whatever it was, 62 or 64 celebrations about my parents. And I put it together in a document, which I have. And I even translated some of them to Hebrew and shared them with my mother. Even though she had been fluent in English, she kind of lost her English in her last year. So I translated it to Hebrew and read some of them to her before she died. And then I decided that every year, as long as I live, I'm going to add one to it. And it actually nuanced my experience of my life more. So I'm bringing these 2 examples because they're both extreme in different ways. And I would say it's a matter of who I want to be in the world, how I want to live. So maybe I'm super angry or in a lot of pain. I still want to live this way, of where I orient to finding things to celebrate. And they have to be authentic and genuine. I don't make up things. And because I've done it so much, it's now within me. So that's why even without knowing you, I could come up with, 2 of them that were at least to some degree meaningful for you, because I'm now wired in this way. To see the thing to celebrate, it just comes to me by itself. This is the power of practice. How is that in response to your question?
Yeah, it gives me a clear picture, which is very helpful, because I discovered that I have some kind of, which I would need to check, but the first thing that comes, I have some kind of belief that if things are challenging, there's something very helpful for me to feel the grief, like not
Yes.
but there's nothing to celebrate about. Like, I don't know if it's fully true that I have this belief, but there are things to celebrate when things work out, when something opened up, and somehow it feels like as if when I listen to you, as if these nuances of life and mystery and how things unfold actually come to my awareness by celebrating. This was kind
Like
of
that,
like,
yeah. Yes, and also I want to also do mourning. They don't negate each other, they actually complement each other. So if I don't have a lot of access to mourning, I would want to increase my mourning practice. If I don't have a lot of access to celebration, I would want to increase my celebration practice. I want to be able to respond to every moment with both.
Yes, and then there's a question that goes beyond, but then I'm wondering how to embrace anger, for example. But maybe it's it's just a question that arises. Yeah.
Yeah, it's anger is a big topic, and I would rather say anything than say something that would be very incomplete.
Yeah, thank you very much for now.
Thank you. I appreciate your inquiry. I sense rigor in you, and I like it. And Michelle.
Hello, Mickey. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you. I'm happy to I see the time. I'm happy to go into the breakout rooms and then I can pop back on later. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cheryl, I'd like groups of three as usual. And what I propose you do in your breakout is whatever makes sense to you to do if you get a turn. I'm not a stickler for everyone getting a turn. I am a stickler for people getting a turn as much as possible in the opposite direction of how easy it is for them to let go and go, okay, you go first. If you are the you go first person, then it's your turn to go first, for example. And when it's your turn, I see three options. One is you can just walk yourself through what you might want to do with the practice of celebration in your life. Maybe you want to take on the practice that I started with, which was a year of ending my day every day with gratitude. I literally was lying in bed after turning off the lights and everything and reviewing the day to see everything that I was grateful for. Or maybe you want to, bring it into your workplace. You like the idea of doing celebrations. Workplaces don't usually do it, but it actually is amazing to do it in the workplace because it's so easy to be focused on all that we're not achieving. And to see what is actually working is very helpful to give energy. Maybe you want whatever. So that's one possibility, is to look at what you want to do with this after our time. Another is you can just practice finding things to celebrate with or without adding the celebration challenge. There was a third one. Why am I not remembering it? Yeah, I am not remembering. So maybe I blended two things together with the celebration. So those are the options, and if neither of them works for you, you do whatever you want. And let's do it for 15 minutes. And then come back and check in about what your experience has been and what other questions are still open. Hey, ready, Cheryl? I'm seeing your mouth, but you were muted. It's okay. So, what have you discovered? Hey.
Two quick things. One, something from before the groups that came to me in what we were talking about. There's still a little bit of, for me, some kind of a duality or an either or between this. Is it, yes, it's life is working even when it's not working for me, as if me is not a part of life. So I wanted
Yes.
to catch that. If life
Thank
is
you.
working, then it's working for me. In maybe a way that's different than how we used to think of it.
Mhm.
Um, and there was a question that came up in my group around what to do when people see celebrations as minimizing or dismissing their struggles. And I don't want to bring that question in because it's not mine, but I wanted to encourage people from my group to bring it into the space because I think it's very relatable.
Yeah. Okay.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. This is my first time. I know your sister quite well, and so this is how we got connected, through knowing her, then following you. One of the issues that came up, I'm from Israel, I'm going through everything that's going on right now. So I brought this whole issue of this agony, anger, frustration that's going on right now in our lives here, and the guilt connected to celebrating. I mean, even saying I'm fine is a big issue today. Even saying we had a great time yesterday is like guilt. It's like you can't say that. And so this really connected very strongly with celebration and murder, death, both sides, okay? Everything that's going on around us, even today, okay, was there. So it's like, I feel it very much in my life, in my work. I'm a therapist as well. How to bring them together, how to find the words or the way to do it. I did it my way, but with celebrating my daughter's birthday was really love and happiness, despite everything else. But this really came up for me. The celebrating and guilt. And this whole adventure is really rough.
Yeah. Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is actually from our heritage. I don't know if everybody knows, but when in traditional Judaism, at a wedding, one of the things that people do is they break a glass. Literally step on a glass and break it. And the purpose of that is to remind us, even in what is supposedly the height of joy, that the temple was destroyed however many hundreds of years ago, not to forget that. And I think it's a very potent practice. Of course, it has become empty. People just do it and don't actually use that moment to do this. And it's the flip image of what we're doing here. What we're doing here is, even in difficult times, we want to celebrate. And I want to illustrate it from the other side by saying, even in the most joyous times, we want to remember the things to mourn. Even if there's no war where I am, there's 20,000 children that die every day from not having enough access to food. There is, I think last I looked, there were 30-something wars going on that we don't even hear about. There's always the war that we hear about, and this is one. And suddenly, since that war, we almost don't hear about the war between Ukraine and Russia. So there is something for me about always remembering both. That simultaneously people are born and people die. War is happening and acts of peace are happening. All of it is happening all at once. That's one thing that I want to say. So there is, I think on some level, the deepest practice that I know is the practice of choosing where I put my attention. It's the practice of freedom. It's the essential seed of freedom is, where am I putting my attention? And no matter what is happening, I have choice about where I put my attention. There is a story that I imagine at least some of you know. It's a Buddhist story of this monk falls off a cliff and finds a bush to hang on to. So hangs onto the bush. It's too low to be able to climb. It's too far down to let go and jump. And there is a hungry lion walking back and forth very clear. Even if you were to survive the fall, the lion will eat you. And the roots of the bush, the person is just slightly too heavy for the bush, so the roots are slowly coming out. So there isn't a whole lot of minutes left for this person. And then there is a bush of strawberries nearby, within reach. So the guy picks a strawberry and eats it. I love this story because, again, it demonstrates that thing. This person could be completely preoccupied with, like, oh my God, I'm about to die, and instead chooses to savor the few moments left. And lastly, if you haven't found it, I don't have a link, but Stephen Jenkinson connected with a number of Israelis soon after October 7th, and answered very beautifully the questions about guilt. And I can just say the piece that I remember from it, which is there's always suffering, and it's not always my turn to suffer. And when it's not my turn to suffer, my task is to maintain my humanity and keep my heart open. Not to feel guilty about I'm okay and these other people aren't. It doesn't actually help anyone. So those are the things that are coming. And I think the practice of celebration in difficult times is a practice of heart opening. It's a defiant practice. I'm not going to give in to X. I'm still going to be here. I mean, people celebrated and enjoyed things in concentration camps. The people in Gaza are finding things to celebrate for sure. I saw this amazing story that I read about an artist in Gaza who is coming into the rubbles and does paintings on the rubbles. That's an act of defying whatever anybody is saying. So that's my response. And it's not a response to your question, Lorne. It's a different nuance. Yeah. How is it, Uti?
Thank you. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me that. Yeah.
And when you say it's beautiful, and I don't know how it is in you, is it doing something inside you?
Yeah. It really connects with something I really feel, but I'm not letting myself really, make clear of it or bring it in. And I really sense that you touched it. Really.
I'm really glad for that.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know what your political views are, and I'm not going to ask because this is not the topic. Whatever anybody's opinion is, again, I was saying all along, I don't know things. But I have a lot of confidence that in any situation, when there are people around who are doggedly committed to keeping their hearts open, the situation improves.
I totally agree with you. That's where I am. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. What else? I think, Ronnie, I know it's not your question, but I want to take it up. And I'm curious, first of all, if you had an answer to it.
It's not where my focus was, so I wasn't thinking about it deeply.
Uh-huh.
It just came in at the end.
Yeah. The first thing that is coming to me is if a person is not inclined to do celebrations, I don't want to convince them. Then just don't do them. I learned the practice from Kit Miller in 2004. She came to work as, to hold things within Bain VC, director, general manager, whatever you want to call it. That was the thing that she came to do. And she brought the practice with her to staff meetings. And all of us looked at her like, oh, can't believe you're doing this. And she said, I'm not going to force anyone to celebrate. I'm not going to ask you to do it. I'm just going to do it. And she would do, and they were all work-related celebrations. It wasn't like random celebrations. All of them were related to what we were doing as a staff. And she would do one and ask, does anybody else have another one? Okay, I'll do another one. And by the time she got to the 5th or 6th, somebody would find a celebration and add it. And eventually we got to so much pleasure in doing the celebrations that they took like a hefty portion of the staff meeting. And we were only having staff meetings once a month, and a good half of it was celebrations. And she never tried to convince anyone. She just said, this is a practice I believe in, and I'm doing it. And then it took. Alaska.
Yeah, me and my room partner, there were two of us. That was exactly kind of what we ended up speaking about, and was resistance to celebrating, and and kind of the last thought that I had about it was remembering that that's what that you said, that you did it with a group, and I think for myself, doing something like this in connection with another person or other people is a way to create the momentum and the energy to have it become a practice, and in that way then more of a reality. So I am hearing that and taking that to.
Yeah, the first practice that I did was not with the group. It was when I was going to sleep every night for a year. Yeah, until it got integrated. And this is something that I wanted to name, which is that something that we do for a while as a practice, when it's fully integrated, can become a resource. So it took a while for the practice to integrate within me. Now it's a resource that I can call on in many situations and support myself and others in that context. Okay, any last share before we move to closing? Something from your small group or any other question? Yes, Svetlana.
Yeah, what comes up to me in our practice group, and I will take with me, is also the importance of simultaneously mourning, and so I can have a space to celebrate. And it's one beautiful dance of tango, salsa, whatever you like. And also what you just say about my mind is working so quick and I barely can catch one thought, but yeah, that's very important. Yeah, and until the things get integrated within me, it takes time. That's my experience, and I need to have a lot of tolerance and patience toward myself and the practice.
It's just as much as doing some mourning can free up energy to celebrate. It also can happen in the opposite direction. I've seen, for example, many times, somebody loses something and they're kind of stuck. And if I ask them to share things they love and celebrate about the person who died, the mourning starts flowing.
Thank you for this, Mickey.
Yeah. All right, then let's move to closing. What are you taking with you from having been here? What is staying with you? Daniel.
Yeah, hi. So one thing I'm taking with me is definitely what you said at the beginning with the contract with life, this underlying contract about, okay, we celebrate if things work out.
Yeah.
I'll try to remember that daily.
In 1997, I got diagnosed with cancer, which has been in remission ever since a few months later. So it's not about that. But I noticed that I wasn't angry, and that a lot of people, when they get a cancer diagnosis, get angry. And I thought about, why wasn't I angry? And that's when I understood this thing about the contract with life. It's, of course, a contract that is one-sided. Life never signs on it, but the contract says, I'm going to have a good enough life. I'm going to have a good enough job. I'm going to have a good enough house. I'm going to have this and this and this, and I will die in old age peacefully. That's what the contract says. You can read it. Most people have their own version of that. And I didn't. I didn't have that contract. And I understood that that kept me from being angry. I only got angry about one thing, which was that I wasn't told that chemotherapy could throw me into menopause. That I got angry about. And if I trace that anger, it's a contract that I have with doctors. They should tell you all the information.
Yeah, they should, of course.
That was the contract. And I didn't want to have children, but I was still of childbearing age. If someone else in my place wanted to have children, they could have harvested eggs. But I wasn't given that option, and the doctors didn't know. They couldn't predict that I didn't want to have children. So that I got angry about. But cancer? No. So it's really interesting to think, what is it that we get angry about, and what does that tell us about the contracts and shoulds that we carry? Yeah, thank you. Helen.
And part of what brought me to the call was the tagline about trust in life. And it's been meaningful to me the way that you framed that. And I especially am grateful for Ronnie's addition to it of, that even if it's not working for my life, particularly in a way that I can see, in some way it still is, because my life is part of life. Yeah. So thank you, Mickey and Ronnie.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Unless there's one last thing that anybody wants to say, we'll close. All right, then. Bye-bye.
Hi.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
For the tech support, I think I might wait until there's an email. Get some more knowledge about that.
What was that, Daniel?
No, I was just wondering about this tech support thing because I'm a Zoom newbie. But I'll wait for information and eventually we'll come around in some email.
Yeah, there, we'll send you an invitation at some point to a little orientation if you're up for it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Oh, forgot to stop recording.
Thank
Okay.
you, Cheryl.